Previously on Indievelopment.
We got the Unreal license.
Unreal Engine 3.
And we're going to North Carolina.
The epic meeting with some of the high-level guys there, giving a pitch about BPRA the game.
So it's a pretty good week for us. It's going to be the last week we're going to be working without any final knowledge of what we can do in terms of the capabilities of Unreal, but I guess we're going to be finding out pretty damn soon.
The way that it kind of like rides up over his shoulders.
Well, yeah, the God had like
that.
this sort of big sound system.
Yeah, it's sort of, it's, you know, obviously a completely different style and a completely different thing, but it looks like there's actually some lessons to be learned from that. That's why we were back to redesigning God, because we never solved it, right?
No, God we never got right quite.
Geez, I wonder what do you think their burn rate is here in this building so far?
Well, I'm guessing they own the building, so they probably.
It's a custom-made building. Right?
Yeah, I wouldn't say. I don't know. Yeah, maybe. I mean, there's certainly a lot
It
of.
smells like a custom-made building. It comes up as a pallet, right? Is it like
Yeah, it comes up as like a.
it's an interactive window.
Yeah, and this is that Kismet, the new physics thing. I don't know what the hell that. I guess that clipboard's just a generic
Here,
clipboard.
dude, once you use the mouse right there.
No idea what that does. Toggle brush polys. No idea what that does.
Like, yo, we can hold some chairs. We could take some with us.
This is part of the engine. This is part of the 90-day trial.
Yo, this is part of the 90 days, right? Y'all play it back in 90 days, don't worry.
It's just about, we're about to kick you out, didn't you? I don't know about these guys.
You're gonna have a lot of small things like Connex boxes with holes cut in them,
Right.
rooms. That's a lot of what we're doing. A lot more angular stuff. It's you know.
Everything's gonna be dirty. Everything's gonna look kind of abandoned to start out with.
We know how to do dirty and abandoned.
This is gonna sound like a strange question off the top. You guys aren't doing a Mac OS X version of this at any point, are you?
No. No. We've got, 2 consoles and D3D, so it's...
Yeah,
no, that's keeping us busy.
Bill,
I'm Altai.
Altai. Nice to meet you. Thank you.
So of the three of us, I'm the sort of level builder, game designer, mesh type person.
Okay.
Phil is the lead 3D modeler,
Artist,
animator,
okay.
and Altai is
Technical
the
programmer. Sweet. You have no interest in what I'm talking about. Here is the material that is on that static mesh. So that's, as in Max, you make the material, you put it on.
Okay. I'm sorry if I'm throwing off your presentation.
No, I have no presentation, so I'm here to answer your questions. So this is your everything combined, or you can pull RGB.
Right,
alpha.
gotcha, and then the alpha.
Some people will pack all kinds of things into just one texture, so they'll have
This is actually a relatively simple material.
Do you guys have any preferences? I mean, you've been working on consoles. I mean, you're working on both major consoles and the computer market. Do you have a preference, just personally, like what you like to work on? I mean, we all came from the computer background. None of us have done consoles, really.
I think the one real advantage to working on console is you know what the system stats are, and they're not going to change. Whereas on PC, you have to design for, okay, this person has DX9, this person has DX8, are we going to be backwards compatible? This person has a stereo audio card, this person doesn't. I mean, there's all those different variables that go in there. Whereas with console, you just know exactly what it is and you can build to that.
Man, I'm looking forward to the day when we can get new computers, more guns.
Have you seen you used it before, the new one? Have you?
No, we just got it the other day, and I've only been just
we've literally had
scratching
it
the
for
surface.
like 8 hours.
Oh, okay.
No, I
Okay,
mean,
good. You next time.
All right.
we got 30 minutes to pump you guys for everything we can get, man.
You would click it. You click on like textures and don't know. Like, say I want to put that normal map in there. Have you messed around with this yet or not?
No, we haven't even opened this stuff yet.
Okay.
I noticed nobody said brush today, though.
Yes. No, they say BSP instead.
Oh, I
Yeah,
see.
BSP.
I got you.
Yeah, no more brush.
He hates the word brush. He was bitching
Nice.
about it yesterday for
No, when I first started trying to use UTO4, I could not understand. Just couldn't get my brain wrapped around why you were calling it a brush.
You would make your low poly one, which I'll just use another sphere. And you can try and like encase this guy. Like overlap them or encase them inside each other or whatever.
So each one of these is a separate component, right? So when I start off creating a particle, I can basically open the tool and say I want to create a new sprite, or I want to create a new thing that emits sprites or emits debris or emits meshes. And then this becomes my framework for the motion, but I have to then tie something into that. So you have all your basic controls over how you want the particles to emit. Stuff that, I don't know if you've used other particle editors in the past, but it's things like how long do the particles live? What's their direction of travel? Do they have acceleration or negative acceleration, which equates to gravity? Do they size up or down over their life? Do they have collisions, so they bounce off things? Can physics actors in the world affect them? There's ways so that you can actually cause, or can you affect physics actors with the particle system? So for instance, you could have a water hose and you tell those particles to affect physics accidents, and then you could kind of hose a rag doll and the rag doll will move around, those kind of issues.
Interesting.
You could do things like that using this system.
Did you ever read Ricardo Noir?
No, bug spray.
Yeah, pretty much.
No, I dated a girl who loved that. I wouldn't do it. So. All right, let's see what you got.
Okay. So this is the title of our game, Black Powder Red Earth. What the game is, essentially, is players will play as a mercenary soldier fighting out proxy wars on a near-future Martian space colony. In terms of gameplay, we started looking at instant gratification from like tactical FPS multiplayer games. Games that you can just get online and start rocking out. We also wanted to incorporate like item collection and character building from RPGs because we think that stuff's pretty hot too. And then we said we also wanted to have things like social elements from massively multiplayer online role-playing games or just social networking in general online. We broke it into three things. The first element here is gameplay. We went and met all these ex-military dudes, SEALs, JFT2 or JTF2s, Special Forces, CIA, paramilitary guys.
So why does that matter? I'm just curious.
Pardon me?
Why does that matter? I mean, isn't this like doing really cool, figuring out exactly how vehicles blow up so that you can take every movie where the hero hops out of the car and explodes in big flames and replace it with a boring thud because that's more realistic? So why are you trying to make shooters more realistic?
We're trying to make them more tactical.
Simpler, Splinter Cell. The kind of dynamic that even though Splinter Cell has some fantastic fictional things in it, it also uses a sort of an element of realism, which is it's a similar vein that we're trying to tap into.
Well, there's something accessible about that, the fact that you're appealing to kind of real-world military gun nuts, right?
Yeah, well, gun nuts, yes, absolutely.
And
Gun
we
nuts
are a nation
love
of gun
our
nuts.
game.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have 12 myself. No.
So what I was looking for is not how do you make gun tactics more realistic, but how do you make the game fun? That was what my question was.
Oh, okay.
And so what you're saying is it's fun because you create the sense of immersion that your guys are yelling gun down or watch your muzzle or whatever.
Yeah.
They're yelling it automatically, so the player doesn't need to be an expert in tactics.
Exactly.
It just makes it feel more fun. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, we're trying to make team play more natural. We're trying to encourage it without forcing you to do it. Because if you start hearing things like your teammate says, "My gun is down," you're going to know, okay, this side is open, this guy is open. I got to move with him, especially if he's carrying an objective. I want to make sure he's alive. And honestly, that's our core game experience because everybody else is doing like the realistic ballistics. Like Rainbow Six doesn't put you on the edge of your seat. Ghost Recon doesn't do that. We think this is kind of an interesting way to do the fighting, but this is only one part of the game. The next part of the game we came to is like the design. We wanted to do like multiplayer environments that had like a story, and a lot of games I've played in the past have, they just don't have that quality. Like
You know why? Because it takes a long time and it doesn't have a major impact on gameplay, right? I mean, That's the kind of thing you can spend 30% of your level design budget on, is making every level feel like, oh, this isn't just a sterile bathroom. This is a bathroom that's got toilet paper on the ground and somebody didn't finish emptying the sink and there's water in it. That's what's hard, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
And 90% of the players don't care. And
No.
I'm curious why you're taking on that challenge of lived in with such a small team, because
This is goals for a longer term game. Where we eventually would hope to have a bigger team than 5 people.
All right.
I think it's a sense of something feeling lived in. I remember, whenever you see the photos of where did the Russian nuke explosion happen? Chernobyl. Where they show the dishes are still set at the table, something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, just keep in mind that that's time, and which is money, which is resources.
Yeah, I mean, we do it in Gears. Like, we try hard to have that. It's not a sterile street. There's trash and there's paper and there's leaves and anything to make it feel like it's people have been here before. And we certainly did it. The interiors definitely have that, but it's a lot of work.
I think to answer some of your questions in terms of why are we picking this battle, I think it has to do with the fact that I don't think you can really make it a very immersive experience without doing that these days, considering some of the standards that have been set with some other games recently, particularly Gears of War. Thanks a lot for that. And in general, we're trying to, again, we're trying to find ways to differentiate ourselves and stand out,
No, I mean, playing to your strengths makes perfect sense, right? It is just calling it out. You guys were pulling off. You had acronym soup up there. You had, we want RPG elements, and we want the best FPS ever, and we need an important feel. And it's a lot of acronyms. That's scary shit. So, all right, that's cool. I don't have to make it. So, I get to go home at 5, man.
Yeah. Well, the third phase of our game was the reward system. Rather than just getting points or like street cred or whatever, we actually say that because you're playing as a mercenary, like military contractor, when you do well in the game, you actually get virtual money.
But there's still going to be a separation in skill between your new players and your experienced players.
Yes, absolutely.
Which will naturally mean your experienced players will beat the unskilled players more often, right? And then if you add to that system the fact that experienced players also have better weapons and better gear, now the delta between a new player and experienced player is even higher.
But you know what? Even this, and this is as true in the real world as it is anywhere else. It doesn't matter how good you are. One bullet can kill you.
There's a reason that true skill rankings and stuff like that on Xbox are popular, though, right? Is it separates the newer players from the experienced players. Because we found absolutely a game like UT where skill is a huge difference between a new player and an experienced player. A new player comes in, plays it the first time, loses 20 to nothing, and says, "I hate this game."
Right.
That's why I always said it was okay to have super weapons, because even the noob still gets to blow somebody up every once in a while, right?
Exactly. So I was just wondering how you were handling that, because it's true that spray bullets, you're likely to get one kill, just not many. But if you make a new player feel like not only am I nowhere near as good, and I don't know my way around the map, but I don't even have Kevlar helmet, and I have a pistol, and all it makes you not want to play with them. You know what I'm saying?
Since we're tying performance to money as a specific reward, if you're going to keep playing the game not only because it's fun to play the game, but to get the bigger cash and get the bigger supplies, because you can't get the cool stuff if you're just if you're playing away at dudes and getting like 100, because we actually reward much less for kills than we do for anything else. We our plan, and obviously this is yet to be tested, is to reward more for doing things like completing objectives and like covering other players, like giving team points, and those actually transfer into more money. Like if you assist an objective being taken out of an area to a green zone, that's worth like $10,000. Shooting guys worth $100.
Keep in mind you have to design and plan for this meta game of people undermining everything that you try to accomplish in the game. It's its own game in itself. Right.
Well, we do have a contingency specifically for the douchebag that's doing things like wanting to level all the way.
Here at Epic.
I can only imagine. What you're talking about is something that we've talked about a number of times and said that's going to be the stuff that we're going to have to really think on our feet about. That's the stuff that we're going to have to be prepared to improvise about.
Be prepared to patch for, right? Because there's no way to plan for it all, right? We never have. We always get stuck to something.
That's it. I'm glad to hear a seasoned person say that, because it kind of confirms the way we've been looking at it.
Windows was shipped as the most secure piece of software ever, and they have patched it once or twice based on security workflows.
We are very conscious about how we're going to get beta testers and feedback from the public, and that's been sort of one of our core principles from the very beginning. Is we're going to try to let the people that play the game define it as much as possible.
Folks will abuse it, but if you have a good closed beta, they'll take pride in abusing it, right? work with someone like GameSpot to run a good closed beta, right? Get 1,000
exactly.
people playing the game, and they will abuse the out of it to impress you.
Yeah.
Right? And then you take those things and patch them up and do it again.
Yeah.
There's a reason WoW had a 9-month beta for Crusade, right? I mean, because it works. So.
I think anytime you can have customers that aren't paying for it, that are glad to find the problems and iron it out, it's a good thing, and then that fixes all the issues for the people who actually pay for the product. So, I mean, public beta is not.
America's Army did that. We had 1,000 votes. Amazingly, nobody leaked it at all. But we did like 2.5 months of the closed beta, and it helped us so much.
Out of 1,000 people, nobody leaked
Not
it.
a single screenshot. Well, and mind you, the NDA we sent them had DOJ and U.S. Army.
Hey, Humvees,
Well, that's right,
show
that's
up
right,
and
yeah.
those.
Yeah, it was like the black helicopters will show up if you break this NDA, and everybody took it really seriously.
But that's pretty much our presentation. I mean, again, our main thing was to try and create a world that like you can play in it at night and you can still play in it at the day. Like, you don't,
So why Mars?
Mars is good because
we
it
talked about the desert thing, but one of my concerns is that that's so far removed from your standard kind of like contemporary setting that people might have a hard time kind of identifying with it.
But that's almost the reason we want them to do that, because we don't want anyone to feel alienated by like, you know, we want to be able to play like the desert modern war without people who are like, you know, what their political affiliations are. They can just go play this game and it's not tied to that. You know, it doesn't have anything to do with it.
No existing races or governments in this.
Yeah, it's all companies.
It's all basically a fictional projection of the near future.
We've got like 5 minutes left. I just
Okay.
want to bring that up because we're about to have our company flood in here
Sure
for the
enough.
company meeting. So you guys mentioned 90 days a couple of different times. So what's your plan in 90 days? I'm curious.
To create like a thin level of the overall experience, because honestly, just based on reading what you guys have said about like how long it took you to do the stuff you're doing, we'd have to be retarded to like attempt to like start pumping out like Metal Gear Solid 4 and like Gears of War quality stuff in like 90
It seems
days.
pretty ambitious, and that's just the red flag going off in my head. Is just be very careful, pick a couple things and prototype them and get them up and going, and don't try and do too much.
I mean, picking a thin layer where it's basically the proof of concept of all the different things, and you know, is that fun? Is it really important? Do we like it or not? You know, don't get too attached to any of the features in there, because I think 3 of the 10 things I saw would make a cool, interesting shooter that's different than what's else on the market, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're trying to prove confidence also. You know,
Yeah.
we're trying to prove that we're not just a bunch of schmucks talking, you know, that happen.
I didn't want to say it, right?
Yeah, or whatever.
It's the blazer, isn't it? I told him not to wear the blazer.
Pitches have a way of growing when team members sometimes lose confidence in the ideas that are initially there, or they get bored of them. So just remember, it's okay to pick a few things and just do it better than anybody else.
There's nothing wrong with making a game that has no new features at all.
But it's just really solid,
good. But for a new team like yours, you need a hook. And you know, your hook, if I had to say, it's the web stuff, it's the privacy stuff. Because there's been a lot of realistic shooters. I know what you're saying. I mean, I've trained with the Special Forces myself, and I know about the difference between games and what you can provide in a realistic experience. But the average person, if you ask them, thinks that there's been 8 games that are super realistic military modern shooters right now. I was going to say that, but the first word you said was this used to be single player, but here's what we've done to cut down our game. I really didn't need to know that. You know, I mean, I know it breaks your heart that it's not a single player game anymore, but I wouldn't include that in your pitch, right?
Okay.
It's like I was going to have 2 kids.
like, hey,
all I
baby.
had is clothes.
Hey baby, I used to play high school football.
You know, it's worse. Like, this is my girlfriend now because the girl has out before would go out with me. I don't need to hear that. Just say this is going to be the baddest ass multiplayer game ever. I mean, you guys clearly have interest and experience.
Believe
in
your own
multiplayer.
hype.
Yeah. Just bringing it up because it was the first thing you said was something negative about your game. And I was like, whoa, no.